You have yours.
All right, kid. You're roasted, toasted, corn on the cob. Can't read your notes.
Old man can't bend down or get a job.
Well, actually, I can. That's how I f your mom. This is the car, this is the track, and this is how hard my cat locks in after seeing a string. So we have 12 laps of Sebring to go, and there we are, car number 7, but we're starting in P5 with a 2:02.5, decent qualifying time. Matthew behind us, he is car number 5, starting in P8. Keep an eye on him, or, well, you're going to be forced to, because you're going to see a lot of him. This is one of the best races that I think I've ever had. Quite a lot of that has to do with Matthew. Now, here we go, massive launch. We're moving to the left of car number 2 as we get a better start than him, and not really under any pressure from behind. This is something you're going to see a lot, though. Notice how he moves to the outside, opening up that gap between us, allowing him a better run. Now, I do manage to just about hold it side by side with him here, and not find myself under any pressure into the next corner as car number 4 backs out and we settle behind car number 2. But that movement that you saw into turn 1 of him opening up the, basically holding me tight and then opening up his entry through that corner, you're going to see that a lot, and you're going to see that I kind of failed to handle that correctly, as I just did. I just kind of stayed in the middle. Behind us, this is the battle between Matthew and car number 3. There are a couple of positions behind us. Matthew's making his way forward, and he has the inside. He's that purple car into the hairpin on Sebring. Side by side they go. It's kind of hard to make that work around the outside, and sure enough, the car on the outside has to back out. So Matthew moves up a position. Only one car between myself and him at the moment, and it looks like I'm attacking this guy, but I'm really not. I'm actually defending the car behind, and you can see how close he is behind us. Probably go a little too defensive there and shed some time. I mean, you can see the car ahead pulling away now. He's 4/10. We've got about 4/10 behind us as well, so we're not under any pressure at the moment. We're actually in a really good spot. We can just take our lines, shifting down to second gear for tower corner, which is actually not what you want to do. You want to stay in third there. However, this is earlier in the week, and I hadn't quite mastered that corner yet. Jules defending up ahead. He's that camouflage car, opts to take the racing line, moving to the outside, and they're going to go too wide. Make contact. Jules goes spinning around. I pull a little bit too far to the right there to avoid him. And car number 4 taking that opportunity, opening up the corner. And Matthew right behind is going to get a massive run as he doesn't have to go too wide there. So he takes the full racing line, gets a better run than both of us. I'm defending the outside at the moment, the very long straight on Sebring, heading into the final corner that is Sunset. I'm going to move to the inside and give the slip to Matthew, but also defend the inside of this corner. That's actually going to help Matthew go through here. He's too wide still, but he's got the inside for Sunset, which just about gives you it gives you track position, I should say, because the car on the outside will have a better run, so they kind of even out going down the pitch straight, and car number 4 on the inside, Matthew's on the outside. Definitely opportunity to go around the outside there. However, it looks like he's looking for a switchback, but doesn't quite get the run that he needs, so they kind of stay in that order behind us, and he tucks in behind. And there is a significant gap up ahead of me, about a second to Bruno, who's in P3. We're currently riding in P4. That's a lot of time to make up, and we do have some pressure from behind. We're just kind of barely in the slip of Bruno, so we should be able to maintain about a 3/10 gap to the cars behind, but as soon as you lose that slip and the person behind you gains slip advantage, makes a very big difference on this track. So we're just trying to stay in the slip of this guy. Towards the end of the lap, similar gap, 1.2 ahead and 0.3 behind. That gap is starting to open up ahead, and this is the most crucial point of the track to have slipstream, so not great for me. The car behind is on my ass. He's going to have a massive amount of slip, and it looks like the car ahead was actually gapping us until you start to see that gap come down, and that is because he must have cut that last corner and gotten the slowdown. It's a second slowdown, so he had about half of a second that he should still remain ahead of us, and that gap is going to close all of the way down to 0.3 of a second. Not quite able to make full use of that and put him between myself and the car behind, but we are going to be right on his tail, and we are absolutely in the slipstream now. And behind us, Matthew is hot on the tail of P5, looking to go up the inside this time of turn 1, which is definitely the advantageous position to be in. They're going to hold it too wide. It looks like Matthew gets a slight nose ahead. They're still going to be side by side. Pretty difficult to make this work as the outside car, but he's going to try braking later to get slightly ahead into that corner. Not quite going to work. Matthew disappears and reappears right in front of him. I'm not going to say anything about that. I don't know. But he defends the position successfully. So he's now right behind us. We do have the slip of the car ahead, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. We have half a second ahead, half a second behind. Decent position. The guy ahead of us was very fast, so should we do everything correctly, he could possibly tow us along. However, there we go, slipping out into the hairpin, and look at the gap from Matthew's point of view, closing down to probably, I'd say that's about 2/10. And I have the understanding that there's about to be some sort of fight, if not an actual side-by-side fight, a pure, me trying to outpace him and having the slight help of the car ahead as we're still in their slip. We're actually pretty significantly in their slip, 8/10, and Matthew's going to be hot on our tail, but he also has a car behind him, so should he get backed up or should I back Matthew up somehow, there could have a fight that ensues between the two cars behind, which could allow me a little bit of space to breathe, possibly put myself a gap between them as they fight. Doing my very best to keep up to Bruno here. Swinging, braking you're kind of peaking just as that curve ends. You can get on the throttle a lot earlier than what I'm doing here, riding over the curb to help you open the car up for a late apex onto the very long straight, which is pretty important. And we actually had good enough of a run that we're not under pressure by Matthew, and we would keep him at that distance for about a lap here, kind of maintaining the gap to Bruno ahead. So the slipstream from him is working. We just have to not fuck anything up and stay in the slip, and we should be chilling. It's going to be tough, but I think that we can do it. We've got Matthew at that same gap. We've got a long way to go, though. This is lap 4 of 12, so we're not even a third of the way through this race yet. But I felt fairly confident this week, to be honest, and this race in particular was one that helped me a lot, or helped me to get comfortable with not only having somebody with my tail, but pretty soon you're going to see somebody side by side with me, and quite a bit of it. But as for now, we're just trying to keep up with Bruno, who on his previous lap set a 2:02.5. Some pretty good race pace. Anything like in the mid to low 2:02s in race, and you're pretty much chilling. The top guys are doing high 101s. A couple of them are doing like high mid 101s, 101.6, 101.7. We definitely had some work to do on our pace. However, in this race, me and Matthew were pretty similarly matched, so it was going to be a good one. And for the next few laps, he was on my tail the entire time, and I wasn't really making any big mistakes. I think just having somebody that close to me on my tail got into my head a little bit, and I knew I could run mid 202s, but I just wasn't quite able to push myself to that point. Even with slipstream, I probably had my eyes in the mirrors a bit too much. And coming to sunset, lap number 6, we've dropped off of Bruno a bit. We're not really in his slip, and through sunset, just a brain slip. I go extremely deep. Matthew holds it just about perfectly up the inside. We're gonna be side by side. I should definitely have a better run than him and carry quite a bit more speed down the straight, as I had such a wide run side by side down the pit straight heading towards turn 1. I have the inside. Matthew's kind of blinking in and out, and I'm gonna do a little bit better to kind of get my car closer to him on entry, which should give us more similar runs than if I stayed on the inside, really killed my exit. He's going to have a better one, but I still have the inside for corners 3, 4, 5, and gotta give space. It's kind of tough to do through here sometimes because it's so tight. Matthew goes a lot over that second curb and kind of slides into me, slight contact, and he's gonna get just nudged itsily bitsily wide, and we move ahead. He actually falls under pressure from car number 4, who probably gained about 6/10 from that as we fought through there. So we're totally off of the cars ahead at this point, and Matthew is not done fighting. Looking up the inside of the hairpin, he finds the space. I'm around the outside, and from that far back, it's going to be difficult for him unless he's slotted ahead of me, basically in the exit, to maintain the lead there. So I'm going to be extremely defensive into this next corner. I know he's taking any opportunity that he can. I'm on the inside. I'm actually braking slightly earlier there because I'm on the inside. Car number 4 taking the opportunity to look around the outside, a little bit of contact with them, and he's nudged wide. Actually ends up losing position there, heading towards Tower Corner, and there is a group behind me. They are queued up to look to get around me. Matthew showing his nose in my mirrors as much as he can. In that instance, I'm just trusting that he's not going to kill me, and I turn in with my typical line. Managed to actually separate myself a little bit from him because of that. However, it's not going to make a big difference because Bruno is now 3 almost 4 seconds up the road. All of that fighting has let him just absolutely pull away from us. There is no slipstream for me. I am fighting purely on my pace through the infield and just praying that I can defend Sunset. And you can see me down the straight immediately, moving to the inside, swerving back to the outside, doing what little things I can to help minimize the slip. I'm not going to get too erratic with it though. Into Sunset, trying to focus on holding a tighter line here. I'm still not going to kill myself or kill my run by holding it too tight, but definitely making an effort to not leave enough room between those barriers for Matthew to slip up the inside. On to lap 8, turn number 1. I know that the attacks are not over with and that there's going to be more of them. Heading down into the hairpin is going to be his first opportunity to utilize that slipstream. And you can see he's about 2/10 going into this corner. Coming out of it, probably a similar space. He might have gotten a little bit of a better exit than me. It looks like I pulled away, but it doesn't feel like it when I'm in the car, because heading into the next corner, he is going to be closing on us. I pull to the inside to take a defensive line. Difficult to tell, but this might have been something that, you know, contributes to a nail in the coffin, because he's able to take the racing line, get right up onto my tail. And as we head into Tower Corner, he's going to have a run. I'm holding the inside once again. I don't think he's going to look for anything here. I think he actually brakes slightly early, and we remain in front. Now, my goal of defending that was not only to make sure he didn't send a dive, but also to help the car in P6, Austin Farr, catch up to Matthew and hopefully put him under some pressure. Either way, nobody's going to be under more pressure than me as we head towards that straight. As the car in front with no slip, I have a pretty severe disadvantage, and I'm going to amplify that disadvantage by going wide, getting a horrible run onto the straight, pulling to the inside immediately, because I know that I'm going to have to defend this one. He has a better run. He has the slip. He's all over my tail as we head towards Sunset. I'm staying on the inside. The car behind, moving to chase Matthew, just look for the racing line, and trying to hold this line tight as I possibly can. All of the way. I mean, we're basically hitting these walls at this point. Matthew around the outside looking for a run. My only opportunity here to delay that is going to be to move in front of him, as I did have track position just enough to force him to the outside into turn 1, and he's going to hold me tight. This is that line I was talking about earlier. So he's in the middle of the track. I have to stay out there, and I fail to move out with him when he opens up that corner, which gives him a way better entry and a better exit as well. He goes flying through ahead of us, and we lose the position. Now, the race is not over. We do have this guy right on our tail. We have a lot of time to go, so we can get this position back, and we now have that advantage of the slipstream, so I'm not too worried about it. I was actually pretty excited about moving down a position, because now I get to be the one to attack. I do, however, have to deal with the added element of having the people behind me so close that if I try to make a move and it doesn't work out, or really if I make a mistake of any kind, I'm going to be under pressure. And I hesitate on to throttle out of the hairpin because he's blinking ahead of me. I lost a little bit of confidence in trying to make a move due to that. And we have Austin hot on our tail. It seems like the car behind him has fallen off a bit. So once that tends to happen, there's two ways that people can look at it. They can either say, okay, the car behind is starting to fall off, so I just want to run away with these guys ahead, or he could see that as the car behind is falling off, so I'm not under threat. If I try and make a move and it doesn't work out, I'm not going to lose that position so easily, which could give him more confidence to make a move. Very different lines from Matthew and myself heading onto the straight. And we're going to have a pretty good run here. We have the slip. We opened up that exit pretty nicely for ourselves. We were also able to separate ourselves from Austin. So if we get close enough, this could definitely be an overtaking opportunity. 1/10, we're just entering the braking zone, and I can't quite tell where he is. He reappears in a little bit of a strange place, and man, a lot is... I hate watching this back. I'm in the wall. I got on the throttle way too early. Car behind was about half of a second at the beginning of the pit straight, but he's already on my outside as we're crossing the start-finish line, and the focus is totally shifted. I'm defending. I'm making sure to open up this corner with him, not make that same mistake I made with Matthew. So I'm going to maintain side-by-side, which gives me the inside for corners number 3, outside for 4, and inside for 5. Trying to hold him to the outside, and there's going to be contact. We both go sliding out, and we'll take a look back at what happened. You can make your own judgment, but my belief is that he tried to open that up too much, broke in the dirt, made one contact, went back into the dirt again, and the car spins. Here's the view from the car behind. You can see him kind of going into the dirt, pulling out, and then going back in, which was a very, very disheartening moment for me. I mean, it was disheartening. And you know, we lost some positions. We're down to P7, but at the same time, I mean, we have just had the most magnificent race I had on Sebring probably ever. Just, you know, employing so many different types of defensive tactics and trying to account for, you know, what his attack was going to be. It just reawakened my love of racing a bit, which as you continue to race, I think happens over and over and over again. You just find new reasons and rediscover old ones of why you love racing. This guy gets really close to us as we park on the side there. Results. Okay, I mean, it was still really good. It was still really good. P7, Matthew ended in P4. Shout out to Matthew, huge race from him. William in P3, shout out to William as well. And that's going to be green on both areas. Don't really care about the rating for this one. This was one that was just purely enjoyable. If you guys also enjoyed this and want to support me, please check out my channel. I have been racing a lot, and I'm going to have a lot of videos for y'all.